Hello everyone, you currently join me in front of the Duke of Lancaster ship. It was used as a passenger ship from 1955 till 1979 I think it was, and then unfortunately it was no longer needed for service. I think they were going to turn it into some other sort of vessel, but something happened along the way and the owners couldn't agree on what they wanted to do with it, so it just ended up dry docked here. It did used to have some cool like graffiti on the side of it, but unfortunately over recent times it's been painted black and now it's just all rusting down the side and it looks in a pretty sorry state, to be fair. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that it's just dry docked here with no real use. It'd be quite cool if, you know, it was turned into some sort of like cafe, or maybe add a little museum in there just showing the history of like the vessel and maybe the company who owned it. Obviously that would take a lot of money, because I'm guessing if the outside looks like that, the inside's probably not very good either. But it would be really cool if it was like turned into some sort of like cafe restaurant type thing. But anyway, what I want to talk about today is this. I've wanted to do a video now for a little while just talking about how I use my phone for photography. Obviously I don't use it for like my main portfolio and I don't really put it on my social media too much, but I do use this for creating Instagram stories for when I'm traveling, or you know, if I want to show a little story of where I am at the day. It's great for behind the scenes as well, and it's also good for, you know, if you're out one day and you haven't taken your camera but you want to like log an area and you want to log a shot, you can take it on this phone and then come back at a later date. Also, not everyone has access to like a professional camera, but most people these days have a phone with a camera on the back of it. But yeah, I want to just show you how I go about taking photos of this, show the compositions that I usually come up with and stuff, and show you how it helped me kind of like look at compositions differently, and that's how my shooting styles changed on my main camera as well. But then later on in the video I'm going to show you how I edit photos. I'll just show you how I go through different apps to just get the look that I want, because straight out of camera most of the time I don't like the look that camera phones have. It's too sharp and too HDR, so I do tweak the photos a little bit just to bring it more in line with my own personal style. So yeah, that'll be later in the video anyway. The plan for today is I'm going further and further into Wales. I'm going to do a few stops along the way. I am planning on making another video today as we get further into Wales. That video is going to be something about my photography on my main camera. I'm not too sure the direction I'm going there yet, but while I've got a free day I'm trying to make a couple of videos. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll grab my Osmo now and I'll talk you through a few shots that I've seen around here, and then we'll move on. So this is the phone I'm going to be using today. It's the Google Pixel 8 Pro, and the camera system on this phone is a 48 megapixel ultra wide, a 50 megapixel main sensor, and then a 5x zoom 48 megapixel telephoto lens. So yeah, it's a really versatile camera system, but to be fair, like most of the stuff I'm going to be teaching today is translatable to any phone really. The main difference really is not every phone comes with the 5x zoom, so you know, anytime I'm speaking about that, your phone may not have zooming capabilities. Other than that, yeah, everything I'm going to be speaking about today is transferable to any phone really. And basically I just shoot in the normal camera mode. I don't use the pro mode really. I don't really like the faff of using manual controls on a phone. If I'm going to that sort of length to get a photo, like I might as well just get my main camera out really. The reason I use a phone most of the time is just because it's so quick. I can literally pull it out of my pocket, take a few shots and then put it away, and then I can carry on about my day. Maybe I'm visiting a city or a town and I don't have my camera with me, or I don't want my camera with me on the day because it's gonna just get in the way. So it comes in handy for telling stories about a place that you're visiting if you've not got your main camera. Like I say as well, even if you do have your main camera, it's good for behind the scenes. I'm getting a little bit of behind the scenes for the other video that I'm making today as well. So yeah, so this is the first shot I've got lined up at the moment. I've got the ship with the little hut there, shooting portrait, and I've got these rocks as a leading line. Just shooting it at 1x zoom, take the shot, done. Next up, I'm framing up this landscape shot. Apologies for how I'm holding my phone. I'm trying to hold two cameras at once here, so it's a bit of a faff, but again, just the shot of the hut again with the ship, some of these stones framing the edge of the frame there, just line it up. And on this phone, and I think a few other phones as well, you can use the volume buttons to press the shutter, which is really handy if your hands are full like me. Apologies, I don't know how well you can see this screen right now, but I'm just lining up a slightly tighter shot. I've got the edge of the hut to the right of the frame, front of the ship to the edge of the left of the frame there. Just trying to show off a bit more of the area here, trying to not have the rocks be quite as prominent. I'm stood a little bit higher up here. But yeah, there's a little bit of a better view there, so you can just see like the frame is around here to around this edge here. The rocks are not quite as prominent. Frame up the shot. Use the volume buttons to press the shutter again. There we go. So I do really like this hut, whatever it is here. It's quite a minimalistic looking scene if you just have a square frame just of that and the bit of the water there. So this is where the 5x zoom comes in handy on this phone. So zoom in, let me try and hold the volume buttons again. And yeah, as you can see there, just a really minimalistic frame. Try and get it central. My hand is very shaky right now. There we go. Whilst I'm here as well, just going to get a shot of the ship just on its own. Quite a dramatic shot with the stormy clouds up there. Got the rocks down here at the bottom. And yeah, nice looking photo. And now I'm just doing some detailed shots with the 5x zoom. This is where the 5x zoom or any zoom lens on a phone really shines. Little detail shots like this that you couldn't really get on a normal phone, to be fair. Really like how the hull, well, what would you call that? The captain's quarters, I suppose? I'm not too sure. My ship terminology is not great. Did I capture that seagull there then? I'm not too sure. Yeah, but it's not great. But yeah, really like that shot. It just kind of shows how weathered the ship is now. Shows quite a lot of the rust and the damage. This is an interesting shot as well. It's just a zoomed in shot of the chimney and the two lifeboats. Again, it's just showing the damage of the ship, showing how tired it's looking now, and yeah, it's just an interesting shot. Right, so I think I've exhausted this location now. There is a few shots that I've got in the background as well that I've not filmed. It's quite tricky holding onto this camera and then trying to take photos with your phone. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but yeah, I will showcase at the next location when I can show my screen a little bit better. I'll show you how I've got my camera app set up and some of the settings that you should change that just help with shooting, really. Overall, I'm really happy with the shots I got from this location. But yeah, I'll catch up with you guys at the next location. Right, okay, I've just got to my next location. I've just pulled up at this new area that has been closed for a little while, so I'm gonna have a little wander down the seafront, see if I can find anything interesting. Anyway, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna talk you through a few of the settings that I set up on my phone. Little things that helped me like frame up shots just to make it a bit easier to use when I'm out on location. Nothing too major really, just a few little bits. And then we'll go out and see if we can find some more interesting shots. Right, so here we are in the camera app now, and I'll just talk you through a few of the different things that I've changed. It's not many features to be fair, but so first of all, when you come into this setting, this is mainly just specific to a Pixel phone, but your phone will probably have similar settings to this as well. I've got the night sight or the night mode set to automatic. That's just, you know, if you're in a darker scene and it needs a bit more light, it'll just kick in the night mode automatically, which is handy. I have top shot or live photo or whatever you call that turned off, just because I have read in the past, especially on the Pixels, I think it lowers the resolution of the photos that are outputted. So yeah, I want full resolution, so turn that off. Then we come down to macro focus. I have this set to automatic, and this is just if you come closer to something like an object, you'll see that you get this little macro symbol, and that is just the phone changing focus automatically for you, which is really handy. And then we come into the main camera settings. I don't have much changed in here, but I'll just show you the things that I have set up. So scroll down and you'll see framing hints, and this is, let me just show you. So what this is a little level on the screen there, and it just shows you that you've got everything like leveled off. Really handy if you're just, you know, trying to get the horizon level or things like that. And then the next thing I have turned on is the grid type. So I have a 3x3 grid. So if we go back to the camera screen again, you'll see that it's just got these gridded lines. Let me put it into a darker spot so you can see. So yeah, you can just see it's got these gridded lines, and that just helps with you know, framing up a shot. You can get something in the center if you need it to, or You can put stuff off to the sides, and yeah, it just helps with framing really. And the only other thing that I've got set up in here is the button shortcut. That's the volume key as the shutter button, as I was mentioning earlier. Most phones have that, I think, so you know, just dive into your settings and you should find that somewhere. And that's it really. There is a pro mode on this phone. You can shoot JPEG and RAW, and you can change the resolution to full 50 megapixel if you want, but yeah, I don't really bother with the pro mode, and shooting RAW every now and then if it's a really tricky lighting situation and I really want to like edit the shot, maybe I'll shoot RAW just so I've got a bit of flexibility when it comes to Lightroom. But other than that, I'm not too fussed about shooting manual on a phone. You know, I've got my proper camera for that. I use my phone, so you know, it's super easy. I can just pull it out of my pocket, open the camera, press the shutter button, take the photo, let the phone figure everything out for me, put it back in my pocket and carry on with my day. That's just how I personally like to use my phone when it comes to photography. I know some people do like the manual controls, but yeah, they're just not for me really. But yeah, what we'll do now, we'll head out onto the promenade, we'll have a little walk down, see if we can find any interesting shots, and then we'll move on to the next location. This is quite a nice shot here, just a simple jetty looking out to sea. Yeah, nothing too crazy about that, but just get the shot. Yeah. So I quite like this grey boat in the middle here. Don't know, it's just a bit more interesting than the other boats. Don't know what it is about it, it just looks like some beaten up workboat. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a shot where I can kind of like isolate it so you can't see any of the other boats, but yeah, I'll have a little walk around and see if I can get some. So I'm just shooting this white boat at 2x zoom on this phone and a few of the other phones now, because they have such big sensors now and high resolution. When you crop in 2x, it just kind of like crops in on the sensor rather than doing it digitally, so I think it lowers it down to like 12 megapixels, which it outputs anyway, but yeah, you don't lose as much resolution as you used to now when you zoom in, or when you crop in on the main sensor, I should say. Quite a cute minimalistic shot there. Again, just isolating the boat. Every time I take a picture of the boat, or try and take a picture of one of the boats, they seem to move out of the way, which is really annoying. Again, this boat here is quite interesting. I'm going to try and isolate it again, but I don't fancy walking across all of this seaweed, so I'm just going to use the zoom lens for this. Yeah, so you can see there how cropped in it is. The seagulls add a little bit of something to it as well, just stood in front of it. So yeah, another good minimalistic shot there. Okay, this grey boat is moving back into the place that I wanted it to now, so yeah, it's an okay shot, but I just wish maybe the other two boats weren't behind it. Just trying to frame it so the antenna or whatever it is on top is not in the other boat's path. Yeah, maybe something like that. Honestly, the wind is just blowing these boats about so easily that every time I try and take a shot, the shot's gone within like a second or so. This one's quite interesting too. I don't know what's going on with half these boats. Half of them look like they're capsized. Just capturing a few different frames there because there's some seagulls fighting on that boat. So yeah, I think that's me done for this location now. It was just a quick stop. I don't know what my plan is now. It's about 5 PM. So still got quite a bit of light for the rest of the day. I don't feel like we're going to get much of a sunset though. It's been cloudy for most of the day, so I feel like I'm going to scrap the second video that I was going to do. I keep trying to fit 2 videos into one day, just to try and, like, you know, keep on top of things and keep the videos coming out consistently, but it's so time consuming. Like a 10-minute video, 15-minute video probably takes, like, at the moment for me anyway, 3 or 4 hours to film, like with all the traveling and going through different areas and stuff. But yeah, I'm hoping as I continue this, it'll get easier and easier to film. So yeah, I'm hoping I can fit like 2 videos into one day at some point, but I don't know if that's going to be today. But we're going to head back to the van now. I'm going to plan where I want to go next. And then I'll also show you, like I said, how I edit one of these photos. And just show you my process and show you how I get the look that I want from a phone photo. So yeah, I'll catch up with you in a bit. Right, so scrap what I said in the previous clip. I did end up filming another video that day. I was on my way to the next location and the weather started to change, the sun came out, and I knew there was a chance for a good sunset there. So I ended up pivoting and ended up filming a video about taking photos at sunset, so you'll probably see that video in a week or 2. But yeah, it meant I couldn't finish this video on the day, but most of this video was already filmed anyway, so it's just the editing side of things that I need to show you now. So let's dive into the phone now. I'll record my screen and I'll show you how I go about editing my phone photography. Right, so the first app I usually use is VSCO. So as you can see, I've already edited the photos. I have put a story up on my Instagram already, and I just needed the photos ready for the video while I was video editing. So yeah, we'll start with this photo, and the first thing I usually do is I usually go through the filter presets that they have. And what I'll tend to do usually is go into the for this photo section. I usually do end up finding one in here that usually works. I'll just flick through and I'll see what ends up taking my fancy. I kind of like M3 and F2. We'll go with F2 because I kind of want a cooler look to this, and usually they're quite strong when you first apply the filter. So I'll usually bring it down to around about 6 depending on how strong the filter is from the start, and then you can press and hold on the image just to see the changes that it's applied. So I do like the colours. I'm probably going to raise that up just to about 7. Yeah, I quite like that. Once that's applied, I'll go into my tools. Now I have arranged these tools in an order that suits me. They might look slightly different to your VSCO app if you've only just got the app. But what I'll do first is I'll adjust the crop. So I really want a square crop on this. And then we will bring up the brightness quite a bit, around about 1.5. I will tweak the white balance slightly. Contrast I usually lower quite a bit because I do find that the Pixel phones add quite a lot of contrast by default, so I usually take a bit of that out. Saturation, sometimes I'll bump that up, sometimes I'll just leave it, but with this photo I'll bump it up a little bit. Tone, I only use this sometimes, but as you can see, it lowers the highlights if you use the highlight slider, and it raises the shadows if you use the shadows slider, but I don't think this image really needs any of that. Grain, I'll usually put around +4. Then I come into the HSL slider and I'll just tweak the colors from here. So I think we will brighten the blue and add a bit more teal to that. We'll keep the green and we'll darken it a bit. Maybe bring the saturation down actually. The yellows, we'll brighten that up quite a bit and add a bit more of an orange tint to it. Orange we'll leave as is. Reds, we'll darken that down and add a bit of saturation there. And then the split tone, this is just to add colour into your shadows and your highlights. So something like that. So as you can see there now, that's changed quite dramatically. So then I will go to next and I will just save as a draft for now. So yeah, we'll just go through another photo really quickly. This is a photo that I actually got at the location where I started to film the second video. And when I was editing this the other day, I found A2, which is quite a nice filter. It just adds a nice teal to the blues. I thought it suited this area quite well. And we will come in and do a 4.5 crop, and we'll straighten the horizon. Exposure, we'll bump that up to 1.5. White balance, we'll add some
warmth in there and some green. Contrast, just lower that slightly. Saturation, we'll bump that up to around 2. Tone we'll leave. Grain again, we'll add +4. HSL, we'll come into the blues and we will brighten those, lower the saturation a bit, go a bit more teal. The yellows, we will bump the saturation up. Oranges, I don't think there's many oranges in this photo, so we'll leave it as is. Greens, we will bump the brightness of the greens, make them a little bit more yellow. Split tone, add a little bit more blue to the shadows, and then add some yellow into the highlights. And there's a before and after, before and after. So quite a big difference. So again, we'll go next, save as a draft. And what I will do then is I'll select all the photos that I've edited. I will click save. And once those are saved, I will then come into Lightroom. So yeah, I come into Adobe Lightroom to just do some extra tweaks. I do find the controls are a little bit more robust in here. So I will usually just tweak around with the lighting controls a little bit more. You have a few more extra options in here, especially for the colors. I do feel like there's just a little bit more control there. Add a bit of vibrance, but take out the saturation a little bit. And then I can come into here and mess with some of the colors here. But then what else you can do in Adobe Lightroom, which is really cool, is you can come into the masking areas and you can then create some masks which really enhance the photo. So sometimes I'll like to add a bit of a graduated filter at the bottom just to like darken that area. And then in this photo, what could be quite cool is if we get a radial gradient and we just put that where the sun is, and we bump the highlights, maybe go to the dehaze, go into the color, and we can add a bit of a like stronger lens flare for the sun there. So there's before and after, before and after. And that's usually what my photos will end up looking like. If we just have a look through some of the other ones I edited, before and after, before and after. That's only a subtle change with that one. But yeah, these are how my photos end up looking once they've been edited. You don't necessarily need the Adobe Lightroom step, or if you would rather just go straight into Adobe Lightroom, you can just do that as well. But I just find I like to do my base edits in VSCO, get the colors kind of where I want them, and then jump into Lightroom just to do the final tweaks, because I just feel like you get a little bit more control over what is happening. I do feel like the sliders in VSCO are quite basic and you can't push things too far. It's nice to have that extra step in Adobe Lightroom just to finish things off and get the look that you really want. So yeah, that's how I go about editing the photos that I take on my phone. I hope you found that useful. If you did, make sure you leave a like or subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Leave any comments if you've got any questions down below. The second video I shot that day should be out in a couple of weeks, like I said, and I do have a van video in the works as well, so if you're subscribed for the progress on my camper van, you should see another video of that soon. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.